I'm one of the co-founders of Puck. We started about 4 years ago after I came out of Lyft at a time when we onboarded over 1 million drivers. My team grew a lot. I looked at and used a lot of recruiting technology. Doing that, I saw an opportunity for a better approach and started Puck. I asked Laura to join us here as we've been working with SKIMS for over a year now and have had the pleasure of watching incredible growth that the company has gone through during that time. Laura's excellent, has a unique insider view into the company that's captured the world's attention. So with that, Laura, tell us a bit about your background.
Yeah, so thank you first of all for having me today, and it's a real pleasure to work with you out of this environment in the background. Puck has been an incredible tool for us, and we're so grateful that we found you. So a bit about me is that I moved to Los Angeles 10 years ago, a decade ago. And I went to work for the first year I couldn't work. And then when I could finally work, because that drove me crazy, I went to work for a technology company in recruitment. I was actually in business development and recruitment. So I was finding businesses as well as recruiting. It was like a full 360 cycle recruitment process. And, I didn't love the environment, going to be honest. It wasn't my thing. I've always loved fashion. I've always, fashion and cars have always been like where I've put myself along my career. And I decided to do a year there, and then I left and I decided to set up my own company, which I started, which was Creative Talent Consulting. And long story short, I just started to hit up the fashion market. I knew that that was where I wanted to be. I knew that it was quite niche. I understood the ins and outs. I understood the departments. And one day I knocked on a door, and it was Good American. And luckily, at the time, the director of HR was Karis Jones, who is now VP of People and Culture at SKIMS. And I started to do some external recruitment for Good American. And then after about 6 months, I was pulled into an office and told that we were going to be launching a shapewear company. And that was the start of SKIMS. So I started at the very beginning when SKIMS was kind of a twinkle in the eye of Kim, and started to build those teams. And very quickly, I kind of got this excitement that it was going to be something big. And then obviously the world shut down. And during that time, we were still hiring. SKIMS was still hiring, but things were different. So they invited me to come and work for them inside SKIMS. So I started working for SKIMS 2019, still as a consultant. And then I actually put pen to paper and said, okay, I'll come and work for you just over 2 years ago. So yeah, it's been quite a journey.
That sounds amazing. And tell us a bit about the last 2 years, set the scene of what it's like from the inside.
Yeah, I mean, gosh, the last 2 years have been wild. We've grown in size. I think 2 years ago, we were a head count of about 70 to 80 people. We're now creeping on up to 400. So yeah, it's wild. And actually I have only had a team for the past 2 years. So pre that, it was just me.
Wow.
So that's when I first started to notice that I was getting gray hair.
Yeah.
Around about that time.
Thank you so much. Well, yeah, as context about how Laura and I know each other, we've had the pleasure of working with Laura for a year now. And a little bit of context on us, Puck's core idea is that people join teams, not job descriptions. So we bring out the team behind your open roles. With our career site offering, we're able to help you showcase your team, tell your story, getting the right people to opt into your process. And in Laura's case, this resulted in 83% more hires from inbound applicants in just the first quarter we went live. Our in-house employer brand studio does the work of interviewing, recording, and producing incredible content with your team story. So for SKIMS and Laura, we produced content with her, Karis, who she mentioned, the CTO Devin, Emma, SVP of e-commerce, just to name a few. And the content goes on the career site, which I'll demo later, but Puck's impact isn't limited to inbound candidates. Knowing that there are some roles where the right candidates don't apply, we've added a talent CRM, and now you can leverage storytelling for career sites and in sourcing passive candidates. I'll share more about this later, though. What I want to do now, particularly since we're running late, and thank you all for bearing with us, is have a quick conversation with Laura where we get to hear about her experience at SKIMS. I'm going to ask her a few questions now, but if you have questions you'd like to pose, drop them in chat, and we'll do a Q&A at the end. So to kick things off, Laura, how do you manage growth as a small but very mighty talent team?
I think one of the biggest things is being organized. We work on a hopper process, so we kind of know what's going to be coming. There are always going to be these additional roles that will creep in. But at the start of the year, we kind of know what we're going to be looking at, how many people we're going to be hiring, and when that's going to be happening. Okay, sorry, my mannequin keeps appearing in the background. If you can see her right there, I have two. I have Monica and Rachel, and Monica keeps flipping in. So I do apologize. She's very
love
rude.
that.
She keeps interfering today. I'm like, why does she keep? I'm trying to shift over. So I think being incredibly organized, using tools, using technology. I'm a big fan of AI. We were all a bit scared of it at first, and now I find that I use it a lot in my day to day, and I think, we use project management tools so I can keep control of what's going on and where. And as soon as our jobs get approved to go live, then it's all hands on those jobs. They're the priority jobs. We focus on those, and then we move on. So, we are small, but we get it done. I mean, it's amazing. I'm very blessed to have another two recruiters on my team that are phenomenal and work really hard. And, we just put the effort in.
I love that. I love that you guys are embracing what's new and that sort of get it done mentality. That's really amazing.
Yeah.
Talk about the world outside of your talent pod. So how do you build the best relationships with your hiring teams? How do you think about that?
Yeah, so I think it's very important for the recruitment team to really understand the hiring team's needs. So we're very lucky at SKIMS. We're a very collaborative company. But I always encourage my team to make sure that they kind of, if you're recruiting for a role in data, for example, the most important thing from that whole recruitment process is your intake meeting with the hiring manager. And this can be done one of two ways. This can be done by actually sitting in a meeting with the hiring manager, firing questions at them, understanding, or you could actually go and sit for a day in that department and just observe and just look around and just see what's going on. I really do believe that the best recruiters have to have that connection with their hiring team. So, for example, I was recruiting for our workshop store in Austin. I got on a plane, I went to Austin, I worked a couple of night shifts in the operations side of retail to fully understand what it was that I was recruiting for. And it was one of the best things I could have done. We successfully went on to hire the Austin team. And they are still there. We haven't lost one person, which in retail is unbelievable. I mean, the turnover of staff in retail is very high. And I'm really proud that we've done that. And I do think that was because I fully immersed myself into that team. And I think that's what I encourage my team to do. If they don't understand something, I'm not going to sit here and explain it to them. Go and ask the hiring managers and go and ask questions. I think that's the biggest thing.
Yeah, I love that. You shared that quick story with me before we hop down about Austin. Would you mind repeating it here? Because I think it's so cool what you did.
Yeah, I went over and I was just one, I didn't know Austin. I'd never been.
Yeah.
So I think it was also important for me to kind of witness how people shopped, like behavior. I'm a psychology major, so I'm always kind of, yeah, what's the story behind that? What's motivating her to buy this, that, and the other?
Yeah.
And or him now. Now we have friends. But
Yeah.
yeah, so I kind of went there just to see what that environment was like, and worked all night with the team, and we were just about to open. We were folding panties. We were, doing this, that, and the other, and it was hard work, but it was great. It was just great to see, and I also feel that when you are actually in that environment, hiring for retail is easier. It's going in and doing a bit of a secret shop in a different store. If you like the person you've dealt with, then it's a conversation. Hey, we're opening. Are you looking? Are you open for opportunities? It's that kind of thing.
Yeah, I totally appreciate that. Speaking of the consumer experience, the store experience, how does Skims consumer brand impact the hiring process?
There's good. There's a good thing and there's a bad thing that comes out of our branding, who we are and who wants to work for us. And I think the reason I reached out to you 12 months ago is because, we were having a lot of people applying for our jobs, which is great. It's a good, bad problem to have. But we were
Yeah.
getting a lot of people that were fans, fans of our owner, which is lovely. But, that doesn't mean that you know how to do a specific job. And
Right.
it was overwhelming at times. We'd get private messages for her and things like that. It's just a very
Yeah.
it happens, and we have to appreciate that we are owned by one of the biggest influencers in the world. So we do appreciate every application we get, but going through them, especially as a team of three, is very challenging. So the
Mhm.
most important thing that our brand encourages people to come to look at Skims. It encourages people to buy. It
Yeah.
encourages people to want to come and work for us. So when I reached out to you 12 months ago, that was to give marketing another arm, an employer branding arm. And I
Yeah.
feel that pulling Puck in and having those small mini podcasts, so when you click on one of our jobs through our careers page or through LinkedIn, it will take you to the site, which
Yeah.
is obviously run by Puck. It's fantastic. And then you can read the job description, and you have the opportunity to click on mini podcast clips where you can actually
Yeah.
hear from the department.
Yeah.
What I've found is not only are we're getting a lot of people clicking on and listening, I feel like it has improved the quality of candidates that we're getting.
Yeah.
So in answer to your question, the branding of Skims, it's great because we get a lot of people,
Yeah.
but we have had to fine tune it with tools like Puck to make sure that we're getting the right people.
Yeah, I totally appreciate that. You mentioned the interest of folks that are fans. How do you think about being transparent with candidates about what it's like to sort of be on the inside of working at Skims versus purchasing the products?
I'm really transparent. I mean, I don't know if
Yeah.
that's a good I haven't had any
I think it's a
complaints
good
yet, but yeah,
thing.
I'm pretty transparent when it comes to, I mean, we're very transparent on salaries. All of our,
Yeah.
we in California, we have to be very open about what our range is.
Yeah.
That has to be public. So, we're transparent about that. And then in that initial conversation, an initial recruitment screening call, I'm really trying to find out what type of worker that person is. And I'm always really honest when I say, we are the fastest growing startup that's ever been around. Okay. And we're in year 5 now, which isn't a long time, but the
Yeah.
volume of product that we sell and the profitability is that of a legacy brand. So, if you're gonna come in from a legacy brand, you're going to expect procedures, you're going to expect everything to run like clockwork.
Yeah.
We're still in startup mode. So
Yeah.
I think the biggest thing I say to everybody I speak to is what we look for, and the people that are successful at Skims have an entrepreneurial mindset. You take your job and you run it like your own little business. And there's no job too big and there's no job too small. And I always say, will you be busy? Yes. Oh my goodness, yes, you will. But
Yeah.
that feeling of satisfaction when you see how well we've done that week, or how well we've done that month, or how well we've done that year, is that really does make it all worthwhile. And to see the global expansion of the brand is something that's so exciting. So I think if you're somebody that's, if you're somebody that's really motivated by results, this is a great company for you to work in. If you're not really that bothered, and you definitely want to clock off at 6 and it's not for you. It's just not. And I'm always really transparent about that.
Yeah, I totally appreciate that. Well, let me ask one last question of Laura, and then I'll do a quick demo on our side. Laura,
Yeah, of course.
you talked about different candidates and the inbound applicants, and it sounds like sometimes you still need to go out and do that sort of sourcing for passive talent.
Absolutely.
How do you any tips? How do you approach sourcing and kind of think about that?
Yeah, I mean, you've got to be pretty out there. You've got to, send those emails, put them on a nurture campaign. You kind of have to be a bit pushy, especially with certain roles. I mean, you don't want to be too pushy that you're putting people off.
Right.
But I think, especially with the Puck tool, I'll send an email out to somebody that I'm trying to source that's in another company, and I'll attach it, depending on what department it is, I'll attach a mini podcast so that they can actually hear from that department leader. Things like that make it more enticing. Other things that we really like to do is holding events. I think having events, we had a Black History Month event recently where we invited members of the Black community in technology to come along, and that was fantastic. We had so many great interactions. So I think that's very important. I think joining groups. So if there's certain groups that you want to join on LinkedIn, getting to know people through those groups, getting conversations going. I mean, and I will reach out via recruiter, obviously, but then I'll also sometimes personally message them through just the regular LinkedIn and sort of say, hey, I really like, wondering if you're open to opportunities. I'd love to talk to you. I'll send them a bit of blurb about SKIMS, So there's lots of ways, but I don't give up. I'm definitely that kind of recruiter. Sorry, Monica keeps popping in the background again. She doesn't give up either.
I really
still there.
That. That's great. Well, that is a great segue. Thank you, Laura. That was terrific. I learned something new. You've done incredible work with a small team, and we're honored to be a small part of that journey. I'm going to share a little bit about Puck. I'll just do a few minutes so we have time for some questions if anyone wants to add them to the chat. I've got a few that have come in already. But first I want to add context about how we work with Laura and SKIMS, and thank you, Laura, for the very kind words. And then I will share our latest and give you a behind the scenes look at some of what we've learned moves the needle for talent and recruiting teams. So to start, teams who care about inbound applicants and employer branding, this is for you. I'm going to start sharing the SKIMS career site today. I know soon to be updated. And then I'm going to move to one of SKIMS open roles. So let's start here. This is a network systems engineer role for SKIMS. It's an example of how we get to work with Laura and her team. You see the job description of the network engineer on the left. And then on the right, you see the Puck produced content. And Karis, who Laura mentioned earlier, is on every role, but the CTO, Devin, is on this role because this is in the engineering department, and we map the content by department so that you can have a CTO on an engineering role and a VP of marketing on a marketing role. It helps to make the message resonate. No network engineer gets this kind of visibility before the interview process even begins. without Puck. And I just want to play the first few seconds of Devin's clip so you get a chance to hear how it lands.
Actually, we have a hiking channel that the team enjoys not only working with each other, but they also just generally enjoy spending time with each other. We have a lot of Slack channels talking about random technology that they want to share. Actually, we have a hiking channel that most of my team is involved in. We also do, on our sprint retrospectives, which happens every 2 weeks, we are really big on talking about what went well and really lifting each other up and highlighting things that maybe the whole team hasn't seen, but one or the other people on the team were able to work with somebody and saw it and they found it really impressive or motivating, and they bring it to the rest of the group.
I'll pause there, but you can see I want to join that team. I love hiking.
They're a great team.
Whereas the job description gives a good understanding of the requirements, this content sells the team, and it gives this authentic, transparent perspective on who's the right people for the company and the culture, helps the right people opt in and out of the process. Lastly, I'll let you guys in on a secret here. We make this happen because we schedule, interview, record, and produce the content. If we left it to people to record on their own, we would get a fraction of the content. I think Laura can attest to that. You know, our producers are really part of the secret. And so we published a case study with SKIMS that I mentioned before, showing they hired 83% more inbound candidates after going live the first 90 days. This is why. So with that secret kind of unveiled, I'm going to switch gears and show you our latest look forward. So teams that care about sourcing and passive quality candidates, this is for you. Sometimes you can hire incredible people who apply, but like Laura and I just discussed, sometimes you do need to do some sourcing, even at SKIMS. And we know the content helps you tell the story. So at Customer Request, we built a way to integrate it more deeply into your outreach. And with that, I will share Puck's Talent CRM. So you're able to leverage the best practice of automation, email outreach with content. I'm going to do a walkthrough. This is all anonymized for privacy, and I did a mix of companies so you can see different content examples. So this is a list of candidates. Let's go see what you're sharing with them. These are sequences or automated drip campaigns that for roles that you're sourcing. Candidates come out of these automatically once they reply. I'm going to start on this regional sales manager campaign. And if I look at what we're sharing here, you'll see the content that in a different format. This is actually an image placed in to the email because it's compatible with all email clients. And this helps surface, you know, a story from the founder and the CEO before the candidate even responds. It's a really different experience to get an email like this. And it elevates the role, it gets someone's attention. We know there's sort of a 1 in 5 chance of getting your email opened, and then you've got a couple seconds to grab people in today's environment. And so this, you're more likely to get a response reaching out with a more appealing role. In the second email in this sequence, we show something different. So this is an image with headshots of people from the team. And when I click, I get our AI generated sourcing page. This is built, we're switching companies to show you a different format, built from the job description. So the recruiting team, whether you're a mighty team of 1, 2, or 100, doesn't have to go and write this. We pull it using AI from the job description to summarize the benefits and give these small profiles of bios of people on the team, even including commute information. We know if there's an in-person component, that commute information really helps. Again, the impact of all this, big, double-digit increase in response rate and 2 hours of team time saved a week. Lastly, I'm gonna switch gears and I'll have time to share one last campaign. We'll do a general manager one, keeping on the retail trend. This is a general manager nurture campaign, sort of set it and forget it. And all this is great, but it takes time to source new prospective candidates. Sometimes for some roles, you want to source from people who've already applied. maybe you're regularly hiring for similar roles, or your pool of candidates stays relevant over time. But in that case, you want to set up a campaign once and let it run in the background. And that's what this does. We give you the ability to add in the content, and here are jobs that are set up by department and location. And so we make it easy for you to be able to get the right message in front of the right people at the right time. And this kind of helps it all tie together. So we talk to your ATS, so you can set up once. I want to drip out my general manager roles. I want to drip out roles for our Boston location or New York and LA in the case of SKIMS, and get the content in front of those people. With that, I'm going to stop sharing. So at Puck, we think people join teams, not job descriptions. That's why we've built the only end-to-end solution that combines the content, career site, and CRM. We help you start that conversation with your next hires. I'm going to pause there so I can save time for questions. I have one question already queued up for Laura, but feel free to put any other questions in the chat, or I got a few via direct message. That's fine. I'll moderate today with Laura, and we'll end at 1 to keep everyone on track. And if you'd like to learn more about Puck, feel free to book time with us or connect with me on LinkedIn. Okay, so Laura, we have a question for you. How do you handle candidates who aren't ready yet? I think this means they're not ready to make a move yet.
Oh, well, sadly, I mean, if they aren't ready to make a move, do you mean, I'm just wondering in what context this person means. So if they're not ready to make a move, but we really, really want to hire them, I think at this stage, honestly, it would probably be sorry. I think we are moving at such a fast pace that if we do reach out to somebody and they're like, I'm not ready to move, I'm not ready for this, that, and the other, then I think we're just moving so quickly that it would probably be a pass. I don't know if that will be the same in the future as we continue to grow. But right now, we definitely want people to be in Los Angeles wherever we can. It's very important to us as we start to build the team. But I think in the future, there's going to be more opportunities on a bit more of a sort of global scale, actually. But I think right now, if you're not ready to be in Los Angeles and you're not ready to start, then, we're at that stage where we would have to pass right now.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I think that sounds like a very honest answer.
There's me being transparent again.
Yeah, there you go. You're very on message and on brand.
Yeah.
Okay, one that I just got, what's the team's bandwidth to set something up like Puck? So, Laura can weigh in here. I think at the beginning, there's a little bit of time to talk through the content strategy and make introductions. But the most of the sort of lift we take on our sort of producer and our side in terms of the ongoing work. So I think it's on the order of hours, and that's why we're able to work with smaller, talent teams that aren't yet huge. Laura, weigh in there.
The most difficult part is actually convincing hiring managers and the people that you want to do the podcast that it's not going to take up much of their time. It's like they don't believe it. Right? I'm like, it's because these people are so busy. I'm like, the appointment's set for 30 minutes, but you'll be done in 15, right? They put 30 there to give you that opportunity. I'm like, and you don't have to do anything. Like you literally just ask the questions. You're gonna get the questions you get in on the recording day, so you've got time to prep. I'm like, it couldn't be any easier. But the hardest bit is convincing people to do that.
Yeah. I totally I agree with you, and thank you for sharing that. I know okay, I think we have time for one more quick question for you. How have you thought about your career? Clearly you've had this incredible an incredible spot. Any advice?
My biggest advice is to always be helpful and always be open to trying new things in the business. You know, there's one phrase I hate, and it's stay in your lane. Don't ever stay in your lane. Always explore other lanes. Always learn, always become really skilled. You want to get that one thing and do that one thing really, really well before you move on to do the next thing. And I think that is, you know, I think I've followed that. I've had moments in my life where I'm balancing like 7 small jobs and I don't really know what I want to do with myself. But once I dialed it in and I knew exactly what I wanted to do, I made a point of wanting to be the best at that ever. And then changing lanes, you know, picking up some other bits and bringing it all together. So be curious, be open to learning. I think that's the most important thing.
Yeah. Well, I love that. I'm going to do one last question I got for Puck, and then we'll end for today, and we'll share the recording on LinkedIn for the folks that we didn't include. How is your CRM different from what's on the market? So I think we're the only CRM that does the content, the career site, and the CRM together. So you get one holistic platform. And by doing that, we let you, one, have a one-stop shop, but also have a chance to see candidates that are warming up over time, so that you know who are the candidates that are most ready to make a move. And I think that's hard with a lot of passive outreach otherwise. Well, I will end it there. Laura, thank you so much for joining. This was really fun.
No worries.
Thank you for the folks. I know we started a few minutes late, but I always learn something when I chat with Laura, and congratulations on a big week. It sounds.
Thank you. Yeah, big week. And thank you so much for all of your help and assistance. And yeah, definitely such a valuable tool. And I'm looking forward to doing more things with you.
Thank you so much. We love being along for the journey. Thanks, everyone. Have a good one.
Thank you. Goodbye.